My name is Tomislav Loparic. I'm systems engineer for VEEAM software for Southeastern Europe, but I think that here I'm better known as Cornel's colleague, right? Because Cornel is quite famous, as I know here. And I would like to talk with you, together with Tomi Popovic, he's systems engineer from Exagrid, about how can you keep your customers happy, about how to achieve desired level of availability. So, question first, right? How many times did you hear this week digital transformation? How many times? A lot of times, yeah. Okay, and it's strange, right? But everybody's going through that. But the main question is why? Why are you doing that? The answer to this is quite simple, because we are all living the digital lives, right? So another test, how many of us, first thing this morning, picked up the phone? How many? Come on, let's be honest, right? From whatever reason, for whatever service we are using, right? So this means we are dependent on that, and we are living the digital life, and that's why you are doing in your data centers, in your customers' data centers, you are doing digital transformation to enable this uninterrupted digital life experience to your customers. And you are modernizing your data centers in order to achieve that, right? I have one beautiful example from my private life, right? About digital life experience, right? So, a while ago, in my home, we implemented something called Alexa. You know what's Alexa? Amazon Echo. Everybody knows? And it's a wonderful toy, right? You can do whatever you want with that. And basically, we implemented that in our home. And the first thing I connected it with was my entertainment system, right? And it was beautiful, even to my wife. Because the only thing she needed to do in order to turn the TV, just say, Alexa, turn the TV on, right? To power off, turn the TV off. To change the channel, Alexa, channel to 6. To change volume, Alexa, volume to 11. And some time ago again, I was in Bucharest, we had a VEEAM on tour, and my wife is calling me in the evening and telling me I cannot turn the TV on. Okay, I am asking, okay, you have to be a little bit more precise. What this means, I cannot turn the TV on? Well, I'm saying, Alexa, turn the TV on, and Alexa is saying, service is not available. I said, okay, but take the remote. And she's answering, I don't know where it is. Okay, so it's on the left, below the TV set, in the drawer. And she's opening the drawer and saying, okay, but I have 5 of them. I said, okay, pick one which says Harmony on it. And she's picking the one and saying to me, I don't know how to work with this. Like, just about 6 months of using Alexa. And from the age perspective, let's not talk about the age, but let's say that most likely first television set that my wife was watching was black and white, and she didn't even have the remote. In order to change the channel, she needed to go on the TV set and press the button, right? I can still remember at that time, my father said, I already done, I had voice control with my telly. Son, can you please change the channel? Right? It's like his remote control. But anyhow, this is the times we are living in, right? Picture your kids, right? I have two kids. Like my son, if I tell him, please get off the computer, he's taking the tablet. If I tell him, please go off the tablet, he's taking the phone, right? And my daughter, she's dancing. She loves to dance, but she's doing everything like the phone is glued to her hand. So they are dependent, and we are dependent, if we fly, banking services, whatever you want, email, we are dependent on this digital life. And that's why you are doing this process, you are modernizing your data centers in order to fulfill some requests. First thing is to provision IT services faster, to be first on the market, right? To invent something new first in order to attract more customers. At the same time, to strengthen security and control. And of course, the lower operational costs. And you're investing in new and innovative technologies, like virtualization. How many of you today have like less than 70% of the data center virtualized? Less than 70. Less than 80. Nobody. Less than 90? Oh, you're good. Like, let's go back like maybe 12 years, 2006. How many of you had more than 50% of the data set are virtualized in 2006, for example? Okay, one. Okay. So you see how this is developing fast, right? And if you take if you look at from the storage perspective, in that times, what were you searching for when you were buying the new storage? Something that is fast, right? And with a whole bunch of disks, right? Now, when you're buying a storage system, you're looking much more things. You're looking at the snapshots, you're looking at some replications, some tierings, and things like that, modern technologies. And of course, more and more present cloud. But at the same time, talking from the digital life experience perspective, there are some new challenges, right? So this kind of a service needs to be available 24/7. It has 24/7 operation. My daughter doesn't understand if Deezer is not accessible, what infrastructure is behind the Deezer in order to give her this service. For her, the Deezer is just application on the phone that is providing music to her. That's it. She will never know, maybe, if she will be in IT, she will know. But most likely she will never know. She said she will be a school teacher, like my wife, so she will never know. And for that reason, these systems, your system, had a zero to little patience to any downtime and any data loss, because every downtime and every data loss is loss of money, of course. And at the same time, you are facing with the exponential growth of data. Data is growing, is doubling every 2 years. So imagine that, data is doubling every 2 years. This means that in somewhere around decade and something, the data has grown 50 times. And this growth is exponential, right? It's growing more and more with the more and more sources that are available. Just think about the Internet of Things. And, okay. Oh, it works. Okay, so, but at the same time, you are facing one paradox, which is that a lot of the customers are still protecting this highly available modern data center with the legacy backup solutions, which can provide RTO and RPO values. You know what's RTO and RPO? Recovery time objectives and recovery point objectives. Recovery time objective is a maximum time allowed if something happens, right? If a disaster strikes, to get back online, to get your production back online. So recovery point objectives is the point in time in which you need to return in the case of any strike, right? In other words, how much data you can afford to lose. So if you talk legacy, if you need to restore 50 terabytes, how much time do you need for that? With legacy approach. Couple of days most likely, right? And if you think about the digital life experience, this is not acceptable at all, right? If you go further, do you do something called test restores? Are you doing that? Who is doing test restores? Why are you doing that? Yeah, because this is the only way to make sure that you will be able to recover from that backup, right? How often do you do it? Okay, that's quite okay, right? But it's from the researchers, it's in majority it's done once quarterly, right? Which is actually not enough, right? And this results with with the failures in more than 16% of the cases. Because the only way to make sure that you will be able to recover from that backup is to test it. If you don't test it, maybe you will, maybe you won't, right? But if you want to be 100% sure, the only way is to test it. If you go further, how much is today, when you're sitting here, your backup that you did yesterday, how worth is to you? How much money does it worth to you? How much anything? What is the value of the backup? No, I'm not talking about the critical cases. I'm talking about now, when you're sitting here and you're smiling and you're having fun. Most likely it's zero, right? Why it's zero? Because backup is nothing than a copy of your production data. If your production is working okay, right, then the backup file doesn't have any additional value that can bring some additional value to your business, right? It's just a copy of your production data. Actually, not that its value is zero, actually it's a cost. because you have to store it somewhere and pay for some medium to store it, and actually have to pay for some good solution that will do the backups for you. From the other side, when you have a disaster, when you have an outage, it becomes priceless. That's the fact, right? And the last thing is visibility. So basically, visibility in majority cases today is reactive visibility. What the reactive visibility means? This means that at the point when, for example, my Exchange server stopped, right? The emails are not coming anymore, I will go and check what's happening to the Exchange, right? From the other side, this is what you need in order to fulfill everything here, right? You need availability. You need RTOs and RPOs, we call it RTPOs, recovery time and point objectives, to be under 15 minutes. You need to have everything tested. You cannot allow to have unsuccessful recovery if you need it. And you need to give some additional value to your backup system, to your availability system, and in that way, most likely, you can justify investment in a good backup software easily, because you're bringing not only backup, but you're bringing additional value. And of course, proactive visibility. This means, okay, I have a baseline, and something is out of the ordinary with my Exchange server, so I will go there and take a look before the emails will stop coming. Because a lot of the cases, a lot of the errors can be removed even without restoring, right? And you notice that there is a gap here, right? Which has some impact on, which is like loss of the business, of course, loss of the reputation. If you're down for 3 days, everybody knows, all newspapers, all the portals are writing about this, right? You're losing customers. And of course, you're losing some money. But fortunately for you, we have a platform that is solving this issue. It's called Availability for the Always On Enterprise, and it's called our VEEAM availability platform, so you can protect any data, any app, wherever it resides, in any cloud. So we have a couple of products. First product is VEEAM Availability Suite. We are most known about this product. It's a VEEAM backup and application in VEEAM 1. Some time ago, we introduced agents, VEEAM agent for Windows and VEEAM agent for Linux. We have a backup for Office 365, availability for the Amazon Web Services, and of course, on the top of that, we have availability orchestrator, and we will just quickly go through some of the most important features of each product and how they work. But first, a little bit about the company, if you're not familiar with it. I'll just say two things. First thing is this. Now we have 282,000 customers. So again, 282,000 customers, which is really, really high number. But more important than that is this Net Promoter Score. So Net Promoter is measuring satisfaction with any products globally, right? And you can have a mark from -100 to +100. So what we got last year is +73, which is the best result in industry we are working in, and it's way, way above the competition. So just for example, Apple iPhone has a Net Promoter Score of 72. So Apple iPhone is some product that most of the customers, including me, are satisfied with. This means that the customers love us, and they love using our products. Okay, so VEEAM Backup Application, so it's an agentless solution for backing up virtual machines based on the VMware vSphere and Microsoft Hyper-V platform, and soon to come is Nutanix Acropolis platform. It's very powerful, it's really easy to use, and is quite affordable. So when we back up, we take all image of the virtual machines. And we are not using any agents, right? We are not installing any software inside of the virtual machines in order to have an application consistent backup and application item recovery. And we do that from the one pass of the backup. So we are restoring application items from the image level backup. Any VEEAM customers here? Oh, quite some. Is it hard to use this user interface? Like, okay, okay. So how much time did you need to learn how to use it? A day, 2, 3, maybe a week, right? So it's really easy, it's really intuitive, and you don't need to go to, like, I don't know, 5 courses 1 week in order to learn how to use it. This is like the main guideline is this tool needs to be easy. It needs to be practical. So we talked about if you need to restore 50 terabytes, with the legacy approach, you need like a couple of days. Right? With VEEAM, you need 2 minutes, up to 2 minutes, no matter the size of the virtual disk. It can be 50 terabytes, 5 terabytes, 500 gigabytes, we don't care. We will restore virtual machine, we will put it back in your production under 2 minutes. So this maybe sounds impossible from non-VEEAM users, right? But it is possible with a little bit different approach. So we have a technology, it's called vPower, and functionality called instant VEEAM recovery. So what vPower does? vPower enables us to present a backup file as the virtual disk to your hypervisor and boot up the virtual machine directly from the backup storage. And your users are online under 2 minutes. After that, we are migrating this data from the backup storage to production storage, right? But it doesn't mind at the time because this is online, right? So all the time when you are migrating this, your users are online and they are working. And this is under 2 minutes, regardless of the size of the virtual disk. Actually, we can do it also with the physical servers, but only for Windows, and you have only instant for now, only instant recovery to Microsoft Hyper-V. So basically, in order to achieve that, right, what you need here, you need to have a decent backup storage, because you need to provide some more IOs, right, in order to this virtual machine to speed up from there. But this is the thing that colleague Tommy Popovic from Exagrid will tell you more about it, right, after my part of the presentation. Okay, we talk about test restores. So why the users, the customers are not doing test restore every day? Because in majority of cases, this is not that easy to do. So you need to restore the data first. You need to mount it somewhere. You need to boot it up. In a lot of the cases, this requires some production downtime, right? You need to check it. And usually you are doing that in off hours, right? In the afternoon, in the evening, or over the weekend. Well, we love our customers, as we said, and we have a good Net Promoter Score, and we decided that we will automate this procedure for our customers. So basically what you need to do is to deploy something you will see called virtual app. You do it once, you schedule the sure backup jobs, you do it once, and after that it's fully automated. So you can do it every day for every backup of every virtual machine that you did if you want. It's your decision how often you will do it. And you can be home, or walking in the nature, or having a coffee in the city, waiting for a sure backup report to arrive. And when the sure backup reports arrive telling, okay, sure backup procedure finished successfully, then you 100% know that your backups are recoverable. How do we do it? Again, remember we have vPower, so we can present unlimited number of the virtual backup files as a virtual disk to the hypervisor. And we have another functionality, it's also patented functionality called virtual apps. Okay, we can boot this up in isolated environment, in, let's say, virtual NAT, without any touch with production, right? And then we can run some tests on it. So we are running a heartbeat test to see if machine is booted up. We are running ping to the network adapter to see if network is up, and then we are running application test. This depends on what application is inside, right? We will test the application and we will send you the report. Okay, so I would say in majority of cases, you don't need to restore entire virtual machine. You need to restore some application item or some file, right? And this is not caused due to a system error. This is most often caused by a human error. Somebody deleted something he shouldn't, right? And he needs that back. For that, we have a really great tools, like a couple of mouse clicks called Explorer. We have Explorer for Exchange. So with Explorer Exchange, you can like easily, couple of clicks, like in couple of minutes, restore any email back to production. You can restore without restoring whole Exchange server, without restoring whole database, without even presenting Exchange server like instant VEEAM recovery which we can do with vPower. No, we are just browsing the backup file. We are opening the content of the backup file. You pick the mails that you need to restore back to the original mailbox, to some other mailbox. You can send it to somebody. You can save it as a PST or MSG file, whatever you know. It's easy and it's really fast. Same thing we have for SharePoint. So you can restore any document back to the original workspace, to the original site, to some other workspace, some other site, together with all permissions if you want to. After that, we have Explorer for SQL Server, which is a little bit different, because beside image level backup, we are doing log backup, transaction log backup of your SQL Server. So for example, you're doing a backup of your SQL servers once per day, but you want to have better RPO, right? That's why you're backing up logs every 15 minutes. When you need to restore your database point in time, we are opening the Explorer. We are showing you the slider. You can pick the time that you want to recover to, or even better, you can have a fine tune. You can actually recover to any specific transaction that you want. We will show you all transactions that happen at that time. You pick the transaction and we will recover you the database for you at that time. So any data loss is minimal. And we can actually do the same thing with Oracle by backing up the real logs. And the last Explorer is for IT staff, the admins and the engineers, they like it. It's for Active Directory. Basically, we can restore any Active Directory object quickly back to production. This means we can restore user account, computer accounts. We can restore actually not only user and computer accounts, we can restore only attributes. If you lost some attribute connected to this account, you can restore only attribute. You can compare it to production to see what do you have in backups and is missing in production. And what's even better, you can actually recover, restore user and computer accounts if you need it together with passwords, which is a really great use case. You can, beside that, you can restore group policy objects, configuration partition records, Active Directory integrated DNS records, and some more stuff. And for the last, for the storage boxes that we integrate with, this is Dell EMC, HPE, IBM, Lenovo, NetApp, Nimble, Infinidat, and Pure Storage. You can use something called Explorer for storage snapshots. And you can do all these things, not from the backup file, but you can do it directly from the storage snapshot. You can actually, what you can do from the storage snapshot, you can do instant VM recovery from the storage snapshot, which is really, really great functionality. And we talk about the value of the backup file, right? So in order to give additional value to your backups, we have functionality, now it's called On-Demand Sandbox. I think tomorrow, right, Cornel, it will be called the Data Labs, or today, because of the VEEAM conference. We are working on it, we are implementing new stuff on it, we are changing the name, so it will be called Data Labs. So what you can do here, so imagine, right, remember, have vPower, you have a VirtualLab technology, so what you can do, you can spin up test environments directly from your backups. With networking, everything arranged that you need to test something. Because if we think a little bit deeper, where do we have the closest copy of your production? In the backup file that you made yesterday, right? This is the closest copy of your production that you have. So if you want to test something, you can spin it up from there and test it there, right? Actually, you can do it also from the supported storage boxes that I mentioned. We have an on-demand sandbox for storage snapshots. So there are a couple of use cases for that. The first one is to test something. So some patch, some service, roll up some service spec, whatever you need to apply on the production. So today, I hope nobody's doing that directly to production, right? So you need to test it somewhere. So you can test it on backups, right? It's easy. Let's say, for example, DevOps. You need to develop something quickly, and you need a copy of your production data to work on. You're not working directly on production. You just spin it up from the snapshot or from the backup file, and you can work with it. Third example, security testing. Just one question. If you do the penetration test on your production, for example, with a denial of service attack, what happens if it's successful? It wouldn't be funny, but now it's funny, right? You can do it on a production. And compliance, GDPR, everything else, you can do whatever you want from the backup files, from the storage snapshot, and not putting the pressure on your production with this kind of workloads. And that's really, really cool. This is giving additional value to your system. We are using encryption end-to-end for your data to be safe. We have functionality called backup I/O control, which is measuring the latencies on your production data stores and not allowing backup process to slow down your production, right? So we are limiting the maximum desired latencies. And when we cross this value, we will start throttling the backup process in order to put the latencies back under desirable values. Okay, we have a replication as like complementary functionality together with backup in one product, one console. And for the complete visibility, we have a tool called VEEAM. VEEAM is a tool that you use for monitoring, capacity planning, dashboarding, reporting, change management, and everything else in order to have a proactive visibility into your system. Okay, we said we have an agent for Linux and Windows, so we use them for the cloud-based workloads, for the physical workloads, and maybe for the not supported hypervisors. And of course, we have functionality. You can protect mobile workforce with this solution also. In availability suite 9.5 update 3, this means in backup application 9.5 update 3, we have built-in agent management. So in order to have everything under a single pane of glass. So what you can do, you can deploy agents, you can manage agents, and we, again, do it smartly, right? So everything is based on protection groups. So these are dynamic groups. So what you do, for example, you put the Active Directory container inside of the protection group. And you put the protection group into the backup job. This means that any object, this means new computer account, that will come to this Active Directory container will immediately be assigned the backup point. So no manual steps there. Any new account in this container automatically comes to protection group, and this protection group has a defined backup job or backup policy, and you automatically have a backup of this server or workstation. And it's a central management of everything. Agent backup jobs, virtual machine backups, replication, backup copy jobs, and of course much, much more than that. Do you use Office 365? Who uses Office 365? Quite a few. Do you have a backup of it? Why? Is somebody else protecting your data? No. No. you should read the small letters, you know. So what's the case here? You have some retention. You have some retention right there. You can return some things from there, but not for a long. And basically, the main thing is that the provider of the service is responsible for the platform. But the data is yours, and it's your responsibility, and you need to protect it on your own. But luckily, again, you have us, and we have a backup for it, right? And it's beautiful, because from my experience, majority of the implementations are hybrid. So you have something in Exchange Online, you have something in Exchange on premises, right? So this tool, together with if you combine it with the backup application and the VEEAM Explorer for Exchange, can actually do the restore of the backup from the Office 365 back to the Exchange on premises. And actually the vice versa. So if you did the backups of your mails on the on-premises Exchange, you can restore it to the Office 365 if you want. So in this version we are supporting obviously only Exchange Online, right? But in the next version, which will be soon, we will be supporting SharePoint Online and OneDrive for Business. And if really email is your crucial data, and we all know it is, right? You should consider protecting it. And the last but not least, it's a VEEAM Availability Orchestrator. So we are putting a lot of R&D inside this one. This is the first version now. It works only for replication and for VMware. It does disaster recovery testing and disaster recovery planning and disaster recovery compliance, which means it will test the readiness of your disaster recovery plan, it will test the execution of your disaster recovery plan, and it will test your disaster recovery plan. Yes, and you need the Enterprise Plus backup replication in order to be eligible for this, because it relies on some functionalities that are only in Enterprise Plus, but it's separate license on top of the VEEAM backup and replication or availability suite Enterprise Plus. It doesn't get mind availability suite or backup and replication, but it needs to be Enterprise Plus version edition, right? Okay. So basically, the best thing here is that it will produce documentation, disaster recovery plans, business continuity plans, so complete documentation for you. You will put in the template, you will do the testing, you will test the application, you will test operating system, you will test everything, and these results will automatically come in your documentation, which is cool, right? And you'll have a version. Every time somebody changes something in your business continuity or disaster recovery plan, you will have a new version of documentation. So you are fully compliant and it's automated. But the vision of this, the vision of this is much, much, much wider, right? So the vision of Orchestrator and the further development, and we are again putting a lot of R&D in that, is that Orchestrator will orchestrate workloads between all these platforms, not necessarily connected only to data protection. And then, when you want something to be moved from the public cloud to the managed cloud, you will do it with Orchestrator. When you want something moved from as a software as a service back to the private cloud, you will use the Orchestrator. And if you go, this is a little teaser, if you go even further, so if you put a little bit of AI inside of it, because AI is now a buzzword beside the digital transformation, right? And you cross from policy-based systems to behavior-based systems. So this means that, for example, your backup system will know that you're under malware attack at the moment, because it will got the information from the malware software, and it will just in case do the backup of your servers, or a ransomware attack, and it will do the backup of all your workstations, just in case. And in case some files get encrypted, it will automatically restore these files from the backup. If you go even further, your disaster recovery system will get an info from the meteor system that there is a storm coming, or flood. This was like, we know what's happening in the region, right? There are a lot of floods recently. The flood is coming, and it will automatically, with this information, fell over to the site where it's safe. So this is our vision, this is VEEAM vision, this is long-term vision, this is VEEAM future, and this is what we are working on. So thank you very much from my side. I will ask Tommy now to take over and to show you where to store your backups.
Great. Yeah, so my name is Tommy Kovic. I'm not going to do like Thomas Love, ask how many heard about Exagrid or who many runs Exagrid today. Next year I'll do that, and hopefully I'll see some hands up. The reason for that is this first time for us here in Timisoara. We've been, I don't know if anybody of you were in the VEEAM tour in Bucharest last time. We're pretty new here in this region in Europe. We actually started up here in Romania about a year ago, actually. I'm going to tell you why we're here. Why we're here with VEEAM. And so I'm going to try to talk a little bit about that and what we do. So Exagrid is actually not a new company. We've been around since 2004. We do backup storage. And we have a pretty cool integration with VEEAM that I'm going to talk a little bit more about. About 10,000 customers. So we started here in Europe about 2.5 years ago. We started to do business here in Europe. And so today, most of the business is still in the US. It's a well-recognized brand. It's been there a long time. So if you look in more like in the American publications, so you see us pop up quite frequently actually here, because it's been in the market quite a long time. So we are a technology alliance partner with VEEAM. do a lot of activities and events together with VEEAM. And like this is one of them. Just to give an example, we do a lot of webinars and joint activities over the market. But we do have some technical integrations, just not a marketing alliance. We have what we call accelerated data move. I'm going to talk a little bit about that one. And that's a joint development that we've done together with VEEAM. VEEAM have a lot of functions and features I'm going to talk about. One's a scale-up backup repository. Anybody heard about that one? So you can scale out as you add capacity. As you grow, you can add capacity and scale out. And we play very well with that function. So if we look, it's a backup appliance, like I said before. And backup appliance has been on the market for about, probably 10, 12 years today. And if you look at the first generation backup appliances, what did they address? Customers bought them to replace tape, basically. It was also an easy way to get data off-site. When it was tape, of course, you had to manually do it and take it out and ship it somewhere. What they did not address, these first ones, first off, backup and restore very slow. That is still the case out there. And also, as data grew, the backup window grew also. And also, if you look at modern data protection, like VEEAM, for example, we heard like Sure Backup, we heard about instant restore and all those functions. Those are very hard to execute on what we call the first generation backup storage. And with XtraGrid, we still get the benefits of this, what we call deduplication, but we will also address this number 3, 4, and 5, that we can keep the back window intact, we can do extremely fast restores, and we do support like modern backup software, for example, VEEAM. So what we do instead, we have what we call a landing zone. That's probably the first time you hear it. So we get the best of both worlds in there. So we implement what we call adaptive deduplication. It's a byte level. We compare the bytes and just compare the differences in there and save the unique data in there. And by having this landing zone, it does not impact the backup or restore of the actual backup process when you do backup, which is the case with the first generation backups. So with our solution, you get what you get what comes disk landing zone. The disk landing zone. So usually when it's appliance based, you get a landing zone, you get a retention zone. In the landing zone, we keep the dailies, the incrementals, the latest backup in there. And in the retention zone, we keep the weekly backups, the monthly backups, the yearly backups, etc., etc. So the long retention data, we keep in the retention zone. This is totally transparent to me, really. So by having this landing zone, there is no need to what we call to rehydrate the data. So we basically get the same restore speed as a backup speed because we keep it in its native format. It was a case, it was actually a proof of, so we talked about, I heard this 50 terabyte explosive data growth. So with our solution, we actually control the data growth in the market or customer sites, but we still can support the full functionality of the backup software, which nobody else can do in the market today. Of course, you can build your own solutions, but we sort of integrate all of these functions into one single solution. Yeah, we had I used to call him the 4-hour man. You remember that one? That was it was a guy who ran VEEAM. Data domain or inline solution, whatever. It's same similarities, but it came to me later and said, who does instant restore? Nobody does it. Well, I've seen it, and we talk it always on the digital life and all that. And it took pride. Okay, I did 500 terabytes in 4 hours. I start counting, okay, we do it in 10. And you talk 50 terabytes, that's what, 16, 17 days, 50 terabytes? That's more like analog life, it's even slower than analog life. But that's the impact we get by not having to rehydrate the data because of the landing zone. That's the impact we do get on the restore performance. Another thing, so those who run VEEAM today, you recognize this one. So we take the VEEAM backup, you take the proxy deduplicate and compress the data and store it in the landing zone in its native format. We do nothing with the data in the landing zone. We take the data, that's VEEAM data, and deduplicate and compress it an additional 80 to 90% in there and store it. So on a weekly basis, we store about 2%, on a monthly 2.5%, 3%, and a yearly backup about 15%. So I did a few examples using VEEAM's online tool in the market that's available. I don't know if you try the Restore simulator that's available online. So I give you a few examples based on 100 terabytes. If you have 10 terabytes, just divide it by 10. But as you can see, the savings is actually between 8 and 10 times using VEEAM data versus using our technology in there. And you still get the full performance back at the restore. Not going to dig into these numbers exactly. And also, our technology is scale out. If you talk scale out backup repository, we have a unique way of scaling out. So why do we do this? The challenge with what we call scale up, as data grows, the backup window grows. And if you want faster performance, you need to buy a new one, faster one. With our technology, you just, every time you scale out, add capacity. You also add the controller to process the data. We add compute resources to process the data, and we also add bandwidth. So we add performance all the time when we scale out. The thing is, the deduplication is global across the nodes. So this global deduplication gives an effect between 5 and 15%. So the more data you have in a repository, the more efficient we deduplicate and more hits you get in there. So today we scale up to 32 appliances. We can start at 3 terabytes backup up to 2 petabytes. And that's the largest single solution in the market today. There's no other solution in the market that can actually scale up to 2 petabytes. The challenge is to find the customers who have 2 petabytes. So as I said, so if you talk performance in there, I'm not going to get into this one too much in there, but our largest unit we get in there, we get 13.5 terabytes an hour. So if you talk those 50 terabytes, that's going to be about 4 hours we gave to read it back, instead of in an inline solution like 16, 17 days. That's the difference we get in this specific scenario on the larger unit. When it comes to replication also, we only replicate the duplicated data. It saves lots and lots of bandwidth. You still have the benefit. We only replicate, like I said, the duplicate data, but also on the DR site, we don't need this what we call a landing zone. So you only actually need half the capacity, because we can turn an appliance into 100% retention zone. So if you have 2 sites, half the cost, half the capacity on the DR side with Exagrid. That's pretty much what you get. So that's the technical side, and some economics around this. I think that's pretty interesting. I'm not going to go through all of them. So I've done a few things. So we have what we call price protection. So it will never be like, if you buy a solution from us, you do get like, when you need to add capacity, you get the same price as the initial one. So it's not like nasty prices, and when you need to add capacity, it's going to be double price. So we have what we call price protection in there. We also have maintenance protection, meaning that after the end of the support period, the support doesn't go up 50, 100% what it might be. We just try to keep it in level with the previous years. We don't have any end of life for products. We're not going to force anybody to replace or buy new. All the options are included into our solutions also. And also we have what we call a capacity guarantee. It's not listed here. So when we do the sizing, we look at how much data do you have and how long you're going to keep it. So if that is not correct when we size it, we just send you additional capacity for free and no additional cost. You just get a box, Support guys look, okay, this doesn't look right. So there's some types of data that might, for whatever reason, not work that well. But you know, you still protect, you get free capacity, no matter what. So the landing zone, fastest backup, fastest restore in the market today. Scale out, just add the compute and a capacity as you grow into existing. We have the price protection, we have the support protection, we have the sizing protection, no end of life, and all options included, and we'll have a different support when you have a support engineer. So that was briefly about X-Ray. Tomorrow we'll have another session here today, and we're going to show a little bit about the interface. I'm going to with Cornell here tomorrow for those who are interested, and if you want to know more about it, I think it's at 2 o'clock something. I think it was 2 o'clock in here. But also we would be together with the VEEAM out there in the big hall out there if you want to know a little bit more about what we do. So with that, I say thank you and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.